Stuart Tomlinson, Warrior Collective, back once again, Inside Chats. Now, I'm very fortunate today to have one of my great friends who I met, how long ago? A couple of years ago now. It feels like forever since I was in Vancouver. Ryan Diaz, who's not only a phenomenal MMA fighter and coach in his own right, but he's also the founder of Diaz Combat Sports, which is a topic we're going to be talking a little bit more about today. Ryan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm brilliant. It's great to see you.
You too. It's been a while, and I love everything that you're doing, Stuart.
Oh, well, you know I'm a fan of yours. For anyone listening or watching this, I was in Vancouver. I can't even remember what it was now. It's like a year and a half ago, doing some filming, and Ryan courteously kind of took me around, fed me, and hosted me at his amazing gym in Vancouver. And also at Vancouver in his gym, we have Stuart Cooper, with Will Elliott, with a whole assortment of brilliant individuals. But I'm probably going too far forward here in my excitement to talk about your great gym. But for anyone listening, Ryan, when did you find martial arts for the first time?
First time I ever started, I love telling my story. So my story was this: I was a little chubby, little fat kid, and I got picked on, and I hung out with the wrong group of friends, and my friends used to I thought they were the cool guys, and I was always the youngest guy. So they would always beat me up, and then I would get thrown into fights. I was street fighting at the age of 12. Like they would just throw me in the street fights, and I would street fight. And I'm like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I think I should start training. So I started training at the age of 13. And then ever since then, I just never looked back. I just love fighting. And I thought to myself, well, why would I do it on the street when I can just do it the real thing? So I started competing at the age of 13 and just never looked back.
So where was it you grew up then? Where did you find your start then?
I grew up here in Vancouver, and that's why it was kind of cool that I came, because I actually moved away. So when I was around 25, I knew that I had to see the world and learn what all the martial arts all around the world. So then I moved to Thailand, then I moved to the Philippines, then I moved back to Thailand, then I went to Arizona, then I went to Vegas, then I went back to Arizona, then I went back to Vegas. And then, it just happened. I never ever thought that I was going to come back to Vancouver, but I ended up back in Vancouver.
So obviously you've competed extensively at a high level. For those listening, what have been the highlights of your own career then, from a fighting point of view?
Oh, I was so lucky. Not a lot of people even know this, but I competed in ADCC, 97. I got to go to actually the ADCC in Abu Dhabi. So I went to Abu Dhabi, did that. I fought way back in the day in the Shuto days, the Rumino Sato and Hayato Sakurai days. So I fought in those. Then I got to fight in the Super Bowls in Hawaii. Like, people that know fighting, like the brawls, like before UFC even got popular, the Shuto was number one, and then back in the day Pride, and then Super Brawl in Hawaii. Then I fought King of the Cage, and at the time King of the Cage now wasn't what it was back then. King of the Cage back then, there was no 35 and 45 pound weight division in UFC yet, and the WEC wasn't existing yet. So a lot of us fought in the King of the Cage, like say Uriah Faber. So Uriah Faber was the 45 pound champ. I was the 35 pound champ. Then you had guys that's when Anderson Silva was still with King of the Cage, and even Rampage was still with us then. Joe Daddy Stevenson, Tyson Griffin, all these names. Like, I got lucky to compete and be the world champ at that time then. I got to fight also in Strikeforce. What else was there? The Strikeforce eventually turned into, obviously, Bellator. And then, all over Japan. I can't even think where else we fought. Like, we fought in Florida. And I also fought in TKO. I remember, I used to fight literally I'd fight on the same shows as George St. Pierre. Like, George St. Pierre, Sam Stout, me and Mark Hominick were the biggest of rivals. like all those names back then, even David Loazo. So yes, I've had some very extensive fight experience.
And of course, that led you into your role as a coach, and I know you've been all over the place coaching. But I know like there's a gym that you're really involved with is the labs, isn't it?
Yes, so I'm one. Before I forget too, I forgot even my last fight. I fought in one championship. Jeez, that's a big one. But yes, sorry, back to it. I'm actually one of the owners at the MMA Lab. So myself, Ben Henderson, and John Crouch are the owners of the MMA Lab. And having that experience and becoming one of the owners there, it's unbelievable. That's like a dream come true. But John Crouch is one of my best friends, and he's one of the smartest and men I know. And honestly, he is the best MMA coach in the world, hands down.
So I mean, that going off just what you said there, and it really was just like a brief surface of the whole iceberg. It's no wonder then that you've found yourself founding this, for want of a better word, super gym in Vancouver. Now, obviously, you've changed location since even I was there. When did you first start Diaz Combat Sports though? When did it first start, that gym, for you?
It's funny because I just shot another commercial. Diaz Combat Sports started in so I was living in Arizona. I owned a house here in Vancouver, but I never was here. And so my brother was living here at the time, and what I would do is I'd come home and visit. And every time I come home and visit, everyone's like, "Hey Ryan, let's train." So we set up my garage, like a 2-car garage. And we set up mats on the floor and mats on the wall. And that's all it was. It was just a matted garage. And that was DCS. And then what happened was my brother's girlfriend was fighting. My brother's girlfriend at the time was fighting, and she got a fight in Lion Fight. And also too, Boom Watana. Boom is one of our instructors. He also owns the gym in Thailand, in Isan. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about this gym. They're the orphan gym where they take orphans off the street and they house them and they let them, they keep them away. Like I went there, and every one of those children have a story. Like the one mother is a drug addict, one's in jail, another father is beats them or sexually abuses them. Another one's homeless or like on the streets and is about to get in gangs. So Boom and Francis, they take these kids in, house them, and keep them off the street. And they do this, and they have them compete, and then they earn a living actually through fighting at a young age. So back to my point. Sorry, what was the question? It was I lost track there.
Just when it started.
Oh yes.
When Diaz Combat Sports started.
So Boom was still fighting it then, and Heidi got a fight in Lion Fight in Vegas, and they asked me to coach them. And I was fighting at the time, and I didn't have a gym. And at that time, I was part of Arizona Combat Sports. So they're like, "Hey Ryan, I want you to coach us. Like, we're gonna fight under you. What do you want to do it? What do you want to call your gym as?" I'm like, let's just call it Diaz Combat Sports then. So my brother was training them in my garage at the time. Then 4 weeks out of the fight, they came with me to Vegas, and we stayed in Vegas, and we trained for their Lion Fight in Vegas. So that's how it all really started. Like it was just a place for my friends and I just to get together and train. That's all how it started. And that started in about 2009.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to ask. What kind of year was that? So it was 2009.
Yes.
So when did Diaz Combat Sports become the big thing that it was when I visited? When did it become a full-time gym in its own right then?
This is a great story. So I still hadn't. When I moved to the States, I'm actually I'm a dual citizen now. I'm American and Canadian. And when I moved to the States, and it was funny because I moved to the States in around 2009 too. So it was around the exact same time that I moved away that we were starting training in my garage. So then I never ever thought that I was ever going to come back to Vancouver. So this was all an accident. So then at the end of my last fight was in 2012 in one championship. And that's when I started to think, you know what? I'm getting old. Like I can't fight forever. I got to find something else. I got there's a saying that says, when you can do, when you can't teach. So I'm like, okay, this is just a natural thing to do. So, like partly, like you don't know if this is going to work or not. Like I never put 100% into it, maybe about 60, 70%. So then just life, it's just funny how things happen for a reason and life changes. So then I moved, like we started this thing where if when I instead of using my garage, we were renting out a basement of a gym, and every Friday night we would go to this gym and just get together and use this gym because my garage was too small. So now 8 of us can train. So there was 8 of us training in this garage. We had our mats in the corner, and then at 8 o'clock, I remember 8 o'clock every Friday we'd put the mats out. And then when I was in town, I would teach. And then when I wasn't in town, one of the guys would run it. Then that one time turned into 3 times a week. So when I came back home, I'd come back home every month or so. It turned into 3 times a week. And then when I wasn't there, my guys would run it. And then one day, like all we would do is it'd be like 8 of us. And we would just, literally the way it worked was I trained and you trained with me. Then one day, we had 20 people show up. And I looked at everyone, I'm like, I guess today's class is going to be a little different. I'm going to teach today. So then the gym happened by accident. I was getting tattooed at my tattoo shop, and then I was walking down the street, and then there was a gym at the corner of my tattoo parlor, and me and my buddy walked by, and then we looked in, and we're like, oh man, look, they did a midnight run. So for those who don't, I don't know if a lot of people know what a midnight run is, but what it is that they're a business and they were probably hurting. So what they did is they just took all their stuff and they ran away like the night before. So by chance, the landlord happened to be standing outside and says, hey, like he heard me say this to my buddy. And he says, hey, do you guys need a place? And I'm like, well, maybe. And then all of a sudden we looked in and the rest is history. So that happened in 2015. So that was just an accident. And then even at the beginning of the gym, we didn't know if this was going to really, I'm still living in the States. I even started out where I told my friends, I'm like, hey, this is what we'll do. I'll come back every month, just like we were doing the other thing. I'll come back every month and check on you guys, and you guys run it. So for the first month, I was there just to start everything up, and I was planning on leaving and coming back. After the first month, we already had 50 students. By the second month, we had 90. I'm like, I guess I'm not leaving anywhere. And that was 6 years ago, and I've been pretty much here now.
So was that the location that I came to, the one you're talking to about then?
Yes. So that location when we started was only 1,500 square feet. So this is a great story too. Every year, so that when we started, we were only 1,500 square feet. So we were half of what you saw. And then a year later, we were like, we have 200, 300 students now. We need to expand. So next door to us was a bike shop. I negotiated with them, and basically I paid them money to leave so we can take over. So we took over the bike shop. We're like, okay, cool. We don't need we're going to be good for a while. Nope. 1 year later, we were at 500 students. So then, we had the corner, we had the other location on the corner. You remember? Were you there for that? Yeah. So we had 2 locations at the time. Yeah. We had 2 gyms at the time. We're like, okay, cool. We're good. So we're good for now. Then we're like, this isn't working. We need another spot again. And so then now we're here. And then we were here, and you'd think at 11,000 square feet, we would not need more room. Nope. We're going to do it again. So now we're at our, 5th expansion, and we're moving to 5th. Like, we're not moving, but we're expanding. We got a building across the street to add another 4,000 square feet. So, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's a great problem to have, the one that you have, and it's a testament to your ability, your success. You're doing all the right things. Now, I know that one of the things that you like to do is gather together a good group of people, and you've got instructors that have obviously come through from locally in Vancouver, but you've also brought in some great people from Thailand and different places. Was that something you always wanted to do, or was that something that just kind of came about?
It's funny because it came about, but it all like the reason it all even started, the first one to ever come was Adrian. Adrian, he's coach to Pech Punamurung, the featherweight glory champion. And it started out as like, hey, I want my friends to come, hang out with me and join me. Then all of a sudden, one friend turned to two friends, and two turns into like five now, and six. And really, it's not even about bringing these guys as my friends. Like, we talk about it. We cannot believe how this happened, because 10 years ago, we were in Thailand and having the time of our lives, all of us. All of us were in Thailand, and Adrian was working Lam Songkran. Like, obviously, everyone knows Lam Songkran. He trained George St. Pierre, super famous Thai trainer, Ratchadamnim champ. He was one of the trainers, two of ours. And then, obviously, Will Elliott was the GM at Tiger at the time. Stuart was training jiu-jitsu, and all of us were just hanging out and having the time of our lives. And none of us ever even thought that we would be together in Vancouver, of all things. And so you asked me the question, did I have this plan? Like, my plan always was to become one of the best and do the best that I possibly could. And then when I saw this opportunity, it's like, well, why not take it then? I can, not only can I bring all these people to the gym and benefit the gym, but you know what? Like, we're friends. And we get to hang out and we get to have the time of our lives. Because really, one of my biggest mottos is, if you're not having fun, why do it? So we have fun every day.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, from my own time with you, even though it wasn't that long, I can completely get that. I mean, for everyone listening, I had a great time with Ryan and Stuart and Will and everyone over at Diaz Combat Sports in Vancouver. It was amazing. And Ryan, you always have fun. Hats off to you. It's been one of the best experiences when I've been traveling is coming to your gym.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're doing all great stuff. And that leads me to, obviously, one of the topics I want to talk about is this new super gym you've created, this huge endeavor. Now, I know it's took a lot of money and a lot of work. Do you want to kind of give me a bit of insight into how it came about?
So I believe that, you attract what you portray. So I'm a very positive person and happy-go-lucky. And I have a client, he's a wealthy client. And the thing is, he's a very, how can I say this? He's not your typical wealthy man. He's out there to help people. He's like I don't know, like a philanthropist, what they call that. And like, he wants to help people. He wants to do better, and he believes in karma. He doesn't even show, like, he's worth so much money, but you would never even know it. He dresses like in jogging pants, and like he sometimes even people say, "Oh, is that a bum?" I'm like, "No, man, that's he's our partner." So what happened was, this is what he does. He buys buildings, and then what he does is, he's a smart businessman. So what he does is he buys the building, and then he's like a landlord, and he rents them out to like businesses. But his idea is, why not get a business or a business into your building that has skin in the game? So what he does is, he goes, "Okay, Ryan, hey, why don't we buy this building? You get to become one of the partners in the building, but yet you are the you are the tenant, 100% the tenant." So I said, "Okay, let's make this happen." So then what happened was, he bought this crazy building, and then obviously we got to become one of the owners of the building. And without him, there's no way we could afford something like this. There's none. There's no possible way we can afford anything like this. And so we are one of his partners on the building, yet we are 100% alone on the business. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we took this opportunity, and I remember, so this is a good story. This is a very good story. Like, I have tons of good stories. This is a good one. So he proposed this opportunity to me. We went into the building that we are in now, and it was terrible. There was rat poop everywhere. There was rats. There was birds. Like, it was disgusting to most people. To me, I can envision it. I can envision that this is going to be here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So now, basically, long story short, we didn't decide. And then I didn't hear nothing from him for about a month. He calls me up and he says, "Hey, Ryan, we need to have a meeting on Wednesday. We have to decide by 4:30. and he called me on a Sunday. So I had 3 days to decide it. Like, we never talked about it again, and I thought it was just a dead deal. He called me up a month later, and he's like, hey, you have 3 days to decide. And in 3 days, I talking to all my guys. So Stuart Cooper wasn't at DCS yet. And then, he was thinking about it. He already did his first trip. Like, he visited us, and we hadn't confirmed that he was coming yet. And then, like, the whole weekend I thought, I'm like, there's no way we can afford this. It's just not possible. Because obviously it's a lot of money. It's a $5 million facility. I'm not saying that we had to put $5 million, but like, you can do the math that we obviously had to put some of that out. So I spent 3 days thinking. I talked to all my guys. I'm like, you know what? I talked to all my guys. I'm like, there's no way we can do this. Like, we can't financially afford it. Then, like, I thought in my head, yeah, it's possible though. Like, say if Stuart came, because at this time Stuart wasn't coming. If Stuart came, then we would have a whole nother program, and then we have more students. So there's possibility. So I go and sit at my partner's office. I call him like my dad. He's like my dad now. He treats me like his son. So we sit in his office, and he's like, hey, so this is the deal. And the first thing he says to me is this. Like, I'm already going into the office, and I'm ready to say no to this deal. I'm like, hey, you know what? I can't do this. Like, I was too scared financially, and then, like, I didn't think that it was possible. He sits down, he says to me, hey, Ryan, we only have one life. Why not do something big with it? And he says that to me, and I'm like, totally changed my mind. I'm like, hey, let's do this. You know what? Let's give this a try. Like, we only have one life. Why not do something big with it? So, and then obviously it all worked out, because then Stuart obviously moved here, and then the gym got busier, and then Lamsumkran came, and it just got insane. So it worked out. It was a gamble, but I got lucky, I guess. So then that's only the start of the building. Then designing the whole thing, and architects and interior design is hilarious, because a lot of people are shocked when they hear this, but I did everything. I designed the whole gym. I did all the interior decorating. I chose all the fixtures, everything, right down to the every door handle, every even toilet paper holders. You name it, the sinks, the faucets. I chose every little piece of it. I was so meticulous with everything, because to me the little things matter. And like I was telling you earlier, like, there's tons of Easter eggs around the gym. Like, the like hidden little Easter eggs where you find it, you're like, oh, Ryan did this here. That's awesome. So what I would do, like, my life was dedicated to this gym for a whole year. I would go, and all I did was, like, I would go into the gym, like, it was rat crap everywhere, birds, rats. I had to walk into the gym and shake my keys, so then that way all the rats would, like, settle, right? That's how bad it was at the beginning. Obviously not like that no more, obviously. But at the beginning, that's how bad it was. And I would sit there. I would sit in the rat-infested building, and I would imagine everything. Like, I'd be like, okay, this is going to go there, this is going to go there. And I did this every Sunday for the whole year. And as they built it, I'd go in by myself, and I'd sit there so I can see things. And there was times where I'm like, oh, man, that's not going to work. We have to tear that down, change that. And then they'd be like, Ryan, that's going to cost thousands of dollars. I go, I don't care. I want this perfect. It has to be perfect. I changed the design about 5 times. Like, the top floor was supposed to have the conditioning. Then I'll never forget the story. The top floor was supposed to have the conditioning. And then I had one of my friends run upstairs. I'm like, hey, can you do me a favor? Run upstairs and jump up and down. He goes upstairs. I'm on the main floor, and he jumps up and down. And I'm like, oh, no, this isn't going to work. There was too much sound, so we moved the conditioning downstairs. Then we had to redesign everything again. So, the process of that building, it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it was all worth it, because now I can honestly say it's one of the best gyms in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I've got absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, I've followed, obviously, from when I was with you, I've followed the
vlogs and all
progress
that.
Progress until its completion, and it's like it's been amazing, and I can see the money that's gone into it, the passion, the heart, the soul, and you should be proud. It's an amazing place with amazing coaches, and like I said, without question, I would say it's one of the top gyms in the world right now, and I'd recommend anyone to visit. Vancouver's a beautiful place, but it's never been a place that people would stereotypically go, oh, I'm going to go train in Vancouver. But I think now that Diaz Combat Sports is, is so established, it's got to be said it's a place you can go to train.
Yeah.
So going off the back of that, then you don't, even with that investment, you don't create what you've created without being a great coach, but more importantly, being really good at running a gym. So for those people who are watching or listening who are like, wow, maybe I run a small gym or I want to run a gym. What kind of advice? What advice would you give to someone who wants to run a gym or wants to do what you've done and grow to this kind of size?
Well, it's funny. That's why I became one of the owners of the lab. John Crouch, my best friend, he's a very, very smart man. He knows, like, he saw what I did with this gym. He knew me because it's funny because I fought, one of my fights when I was at Arizona Combat Sports was against a lab fighter, and we used to be rivals with each other. And now, obviously, I'm a lab guy, totally, obviously. But what happened was, John Crouch is very smart. He saw what I did at DCS, and he said, "Hey, Ryan, I want you to do this here at the lab." And what I'm going to say to you is exactly what we've done. Like, number one, it's all about the little things. That's the first thing I always tell people. Like, it's all about the little things. And one thing that I loved about the lab that is very much like DCS and exactly the same is the vibe, the friendly vibe, and how friendly it is. You got Ben Henderson. Like, when I first met Ben and I watched him, like, in the gym, he says hi to everyone. New person, hey, how you doing today? Have a good workout, All the UFC fighters, Jared Cannonier, like, all of them. Like, they're all such nice guys, and it's such a friendly family vibe. So that's the number one thing. Like, if you want my biggest, like, and I'm giving this away, it's like, number one, to be tough, you don't have to act tough. It's all about customer service, and it's all about the little things. That's the number one thing. Number two, I'd say, obviously, you got to get your marketing. You got to do your marketing. Like, if you follow our social media, like, I do a lot of, like, even, like, say yourself, like, social media, that's the way of, like, when I remember when I was a kid, okay? When I was a kid running I've worked at martial arts school since I was 13. The way you do advertising back then is easy. All you do is you go to the yellow pages, buy the biggest ad, and you put the biggest ad in the yellow pages. And that's it. That's all you had to do. Nowadays, you got a lot more work. It's not that easy. You got social media, you got Instagram, you got TikTok now, you got Twitter, you got websites, you got all this stuff. So, obviously get your media on. And then lastly, like, two more things. I'd say make sure you get a good student database. Like, I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm not going to plug who we use. But so make sure you find a good database. There's a bunch out there that are good. You got to find one that works for you. And then lastly, and this is what I suggest for every gym, if you want to go to the next level, you got to get a good manager. And hence, that's why I have the best in Will Elliott. And it was one of the smartest and best moves I ever done was to get Will Elliott to the gym. Everyone, I can't say one person, but everyone, like, to get to that next level, you need to have high level guys. Like, and who's better than a guy like Will Elliott, who is GM of the two biggest gyms in the world, Tiger Muay Thai and Evolve MMA. So those are my advice.
Yeah, I mean, Will's an amazing individual. I have a lot of time for Will. I don't think there's anyone who's seen and done it more than he has. And like you said, the vibe's really important, and the friendliness. And again, I've got to reiterate, that's all I ever found when I was at Diaz is that really good feel-good factor. And also, you're very hands-on. Even though you've got Will as a manager and you've got instructors, you're still obviously enjoying the coaching side of things as well.
Yes, I love coaching. My favorite class to teach right now is I have this group of kids. Oh my gosh, they are going to be like stars one day. Like, I love working with the kids. They're my favorite class to teach.
So when you're at the gym, then how many classes are running now? Because obviously it's a big facility. I'm guessing some people listening to this are going to be like, okay, I'm on my own in my own gym. I'm the manager. I'm the coach. I'm everything. and they're running how many classes? So how many classes and how many instructors are you running on your current premises?
Okay, like not during COVID, like pre-COVID, or like even after COVID. It's funny because we just finished.
Pre-COVID, let's be
Let's even
before
go.
COVID had a.
So if you can believe this, it's 150 classes a week. I don't know what to say. 150 classes a week. And that was
Crazy, isn't it?
pre-COVID. And the thing is, we're going to add more classes now. We have to add yoga. We're going to start doing yoga. And then we're going to add, because we have to have more classes because some of our classes are too busy. So we're adding more options. So it's just even that number is making me, like, I can't believe it. Because there's no gym out there. Like, no fitness gym, no gym is 150 classes a week. It's impossible. You know, and when it comes to the instructors, I have anywhere between 30 and 50 instructors now. And, like, once this COVID thing is done, you're going to just see this place blow up. Like, we're going to, like, with all our connections with it, like, even having friends like you, we're going to bring all the best from all over the world to come to this gym. And that was, like, when you talk about money, like, I have to let people know, like, I don't do this for money. I don't care about the money. Like, obviously, I care about the money to make sure that we can survive. But for me, like, this is one of our mottos at our gym. We actually even, people come in, they're like, oh my God, you guys are so fancy and bougie now. I'm like, yeah, we're fancy on the outside, but I'm still ghetto on the inside. So to me, it's about, like, it goes back to that line. If, you know, we have only one life, why not do something big with it? So to me, it's about just doing something big, becoming one of the best and biggest martial arts schools in the world, and doing something that no one's ever done before. So that's, to me, that's more important than making the money and stuff like that. To me, it's about making people happy. And that's a mistake a lot of businesses make, is they don't, like, they call that, like, I studied marketing and stuff. So it's about market placement. You know, you got to place yourself where you're going to be. And some people place themselves as a fight gym. Some people place themselves as a fitness gym. You know, you got to be able to, like, for us, one of our biggest mottos is we have something for everyone. We can cater to the fighter. We can cater to the fitness people. But you need to know how to do it, because you have to know how to make everyone happy. And not a lot of people know how to do that. So even if I say for you to do it, doesn't mean that they can do it. It's a lot of work. And I think the number one thing is about caring. You have to care to want to do it, and care about your members and care about your students.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. So, given how you are, I know that this isn't going to be the end. So, I'm sure you've already got, what am I going to do next?
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
so, what have you got? What have you got next on the horizon? Is there anything else that you've got working on?
Oh, yeah. So we already talked with the guys. Like, so we're in downtown Vancouver. So we're right in the downtown Vancouver. And I'm actually going to check this out. I want to see that. I think we're the biggest gym in a downtown core. I'm pretty sure. Because there's no gym, like, no martial arts gym in a downtown, like a downtown city that is at 15,000 square feet. Like, I'm gonna have to check. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure there's, like, you know, there's gyms out there that are 30,000 square feet or whatever, but they're outskirts of the city. We're in the heart of downtown. So with that said, like, we want to open a private studio. So there's a exclusive neighborhood, like the Hollywood, like, where all the execs are, and, like, even Oprah Winfrey has a house on the other side, like in West Vancouver. So we would like to open a private studio in that area. And when you were in Vancouver, did you happen to go out to Kitsilano?
No, I don't think I did.
So Kitsilano is one of the nicest, like, it's another nice neighborhood in Vancouver. That's where, like, say, Chip Wilson, the owner of Lululemon, lives. And it's right on the beach, and it's a beautiful area. Actually, Stuart Cooper moved over there. He loves that place. So we want to open another studio in Kitsilano. And the trick is, for us, is we're going to do, like, so the West Vancouver location will be a private studio only. So privates only. It'll be a high-end studio. While the Kitsilano location will be, like, it'll be exactly how we started. We'll start in a 2,000 square foot facility, maybe small, and run back-to-back classes, run a kickboxing, then run a kids, run a ladies, run a kickboxing, run a jiu-jitsu, back-to-back. And then once it gets bigger, then we go expand, and then we run it side by side like we do now. You know what I mean? So yes, that's the plan. And then if that goes well, maybe in a few years, open in another city just outside of Vancouver.
Oh yeah, it'll be all across Canada before you know it. So, what aspirations do you have then from a competitive point of view then? Because obviously you were such a well-traveled, well-rounded, well-established fighter. What's your goals for Vancouver then? Are you wanting to raise these Van City athletes to go all the way?
Oh yeah, I got a few already that you're gonna see. Like, give me a couple more years, a few more years, then you're gonna see some DCS fighters in the UFC and stuff. I got a few kids that I've been working hard on, and I'm gonna do it right. Like, I didn't have the best management, I didn't have the best coaching, and you know what? Everything happens for a reason. Because if I went there, I wouldn't be here. You know, if I had, like, I always tell everyone, if I had John Crouch as my coach, because, like, I tell you, he's my mentor, my best friend, and he is the best MMA coach. If I had him as my coach, you know, we wouldn't be here. Like, I would be doing a UFC title run or something, you know what I mean, or already have. Like, even my other best friend, like, I have the two awesomest best friends ever. Skipper Kelp, like, everyone knows Skip. Skip is, like, the best boxing coach in the world. He's actually very good, best friends with Dana White. He always was with Dana. And if I had those two gentlemen when I fought, you know, I would have never, we wouldn't be here, 100%. We would be doing UFC title run, or we'd be in, you know, we'd be UFC champ by now. The thing is like I said, is I didn't have that. So my thing is that I want to give it to the people of Vancouver and to the children or to people that, you know, that deserve it. And I want to give them something that I didn't have.
No, and I know that, you know, gyms take a couple of years, you know, to produce that sort of talent, because it's one of those things. It's built on stages, isn't it? You've got to go through stages for that elite level, and I've got no doubts that, like you said, in a few years we're going to see the DCS kind of foundations come to fruition with the young athletes currently training there. I mean, you've got not only such a good facility, but like I said, the people that you've mentioned are all phenomenal coaches.
Yes.
And you and Will, you know, it's a dream team, really. And you know, I'm really excited to see where you go with it. You know, I really am. I'm always following you on social media and seeing what you're doing. And for anyone who doesn't follow Ryan and Diaz Combat Sports, what I love about Ryan's on social media is forever asking people's input onto what they should get next. So there's lots of discussions on Ryan's social media.
Yes, like, people love it. Like, you know what? That's another thing. I want people to know that they have a say. And you know what? We're doing this together. Like, say, for example, this next gym, like, hey, if we don't want this color bag, no problem. We're gonna do what the people want. So yes, I love having, like, everyone have a chance and say. And the best part is that they, you know, everyone gets to vote on it, and then when they get to see it in real life, it's like, oh, I voted for that thing, you know. And I want everyone to be a part of this all, like, because this isn't about me. It's never been about me. It's about everyone else. It's always been about that. This whole gym is for everyone else. It's not about me, and I need everyone to know about that. Like, I want to make people happy, and I want to give something to the people that, like, I didn't get a chance to have when I was younger.
No, and I'm sure everyone at the gym, like I said, when I was there, everyone looked like they were having a great time, and I'm sure everyone is highly appreciative of all the work that you've done. You know, like I said, creating such a, you know, and it's got to be said, it's a super gym. It's a facility that you're not going to get in many other places anywhere in the world. So Vancouver's lucky to have you in Diaz Combat Sports.
Thank you so much.
And I just want to end this just by saying, if you've not already done so, go and check out Diaz Combat Sports on social media. What's the website for Diaz Combat Sports?
DCSCombatSports.com.
Guys, go and check it out, and make sure you make a trip to Vancouver at some point over the next few years and go and train with Ryan. Go and check it out. But for now, definitely go and check it out on social media. You're gonna be so jealous. If you've ever seen me putting pictures up in my gym pales completely in comparison with Ryan's. I'm like bowing down to Ryan in terms of gyms. There's no comparison. But Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. It's been amazing, and I personally can't wait to come back to Vancouver to check out the new gym.
Thank you so much, Stuart, and thank you everyone that's listening. I can't say enough how awesome Stuart Tomlinson is a person as well, and I love what you're doing, and I love all the technique videos and everything that you do, and everything you do for the martial arts and MMA and the whole kickboxing, everything in the world. So thank you, Stuart.
I appreciate that. Okay, well, thanks once again, Ryan, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you.